Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Rediscovered Movies. I'm your host, Nomfanelo. So, the movie that I'll be discussing is a fun one. It's interesting, but also a good time. So, the film that'll be the focus is The Art of Self Defense. The Art of Self Defense is a 2019 dark comedy that's written and directed by Riley Stearns, who's known for directing films such as Faults and Duel. It stars Jesse Eisenberg, Alessandro Nivola, and Imogen Poots. So here's the synopsis. So our main protagonist, Casey, played by Jesse Eisenberg, he's attacked on the street at night when he's on his way to buy food for his dog. So he's beaten up by a motorcycle gang. So essentially, like after that happens, he joins a neighborhood karate studio to learn how to protect himself. And under the watchful eye of a charismatic instructor named Sensei and hardcore brown belt, Anna, Casey gains a newfound sense of confidence for the first time in his life. But when he attends Sensei's mysterious night classes, he discovers a sinister world of fraternity, brutality, and hyper-masculinity, presenting a journey that places him squarely in the sights of his enigmatic new mentor. So the film premiered at South by Southwest back in March 10th, 2019. It had a limited theatrical release on July 12th and expanded on July 19th. So when it opened back in July 12th, it opened at number 33 with just over $114,000 because it opened in 7 theaters. And then when it expanded on the following week, it was at number 13 with just over $1 million. So films that beat this at the box office include The Lion King remake, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Toy Story 4. It made over $2.4 million during its theatrical release. In terms of reception, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 83% critic score. Here's what they have to say with the consensus. The Art of Self-Defense grapples compellingly with modern American masculinity and serves as an outstanding calling card for writer-director Riley Stearns. The audience, however, gave it 63%. The film is available to watch on demand, so check your local provider. All right, let's go to first discoveries. So I think I first saw this movie, I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021. So I stumbled upon it when I was looking for a movie to rent on the Cineplex store because I think during that time I saw a movie in the theater and I had like a free voucher for a rental. So I decided, yeah, I'll choose this movie because for me, I do like watching karate or martial arts movies, and also too, after learning about the premise, I found, it'll be interesting because it's essentially like a comedic version, of a martial arts film that I find, I rarely see, probably with the exception of Stephen Chow's films like Kung Fu Hustle, and probably too, with some Jackie Chan movies to an extent. But here, this one is clearly a satire. And so when I first watched it, I thought, I was intrigued, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't sure what to come up with because especially when the movie got dark, I'm just I don't know. But on repeat viewings and also when it came to the podcast, I enjoyed the movie more because essentially I loved, that it's a comedy, for a karate movie, doesn't take itself too seriously at times, and also too I enjoy the performances like from the cast and so forth. So, and also too I would say that I would certainly not attend that dojo for a couple reasons. Like, also too, like that dojo has a crematorium in the back office, which makes you think like, you know, like did they kill off competition, or like those that try to threaten the dojo? It's like clearly some like shady stuff is happening in that dojo, so yeah, I would never want to attend there. Plus, I was gonna say too, like, cause I used to do karate, like, back, like, when I was little, when I was, like, I would say, like, elementary school and like, middle school. So, for me, yeah, like, for me, like, with my background karate, cause I went up to black belt. So, yeah, like, I found, like, it was realistic at times when it came to, like, the moves and so forth. But in terms of like how things are run, for sure, like it's not realistic. So I'll get into that later. But yeah, like it's just fun to see like, a different side of karate. But clearly here is more of a very dark, sinister side to it. So let's go on to highlights. So for me, I enjoyed Casey. Yeah, I found with Casey, like with Jesse Eisenberg as Casey, it was perfect casting because essentially like here he is like the awkward and like the loner, but he has like a charm to him because we see here like he's an accountant, and clearly like he tries to fit in. Like we see like when he's at work trying to talk with the coworkers and he notices the magazine, and like they kind of like push him to the side because clearly like he doesn't fit in, and plus they're kind of upset that, oh, that he pretty much is in charge of the expenses and all that stuff. So yeah, it feel kind of sorry for Casey like at first. So I would say too, like in the opening scene, clearly like he's uncomfortable like when he's at the restaurant because we overhear like this French couple, like they're talking about like their erections. They're speaking French, and it was a surprise to know that Casey, he is learning French, so he understands what they're saying. So yeah, clearly Casey, he loves to learn languages, I suppose. I wonder though, like if it's like to fit in, or if it's more of like personal interest. It could be a bit of both with his character. And yeah, like even though he lives a lonely life, he has his dog. Um, it is a German breed. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, that dog like is adorable. Cuz like even when there was a moment when he has to get food, but after when like he's attacked, like he clearly doesn't want to go out in case if it happens again. And then pretty much like the dog looks sad because he doesn't have food, but yet Casey feeds him, I guess, leftover spaghetti. But yeah, like I love that dog. It was just sad that the dog died because I guess we later learned that I guess Sensei, or maybe what, well, we think was Sensei, but it turned out to be one of the students, like brutally beated up the dog. And like it was great, yeah, that Casey kind of got his revenge to speak of, because like yeah, clearly he loves that dog, and like the dog didn't hurt anyone. So like yeah, it was frustrating to see, yeah, the dog die, but I guess at the same time too, like it kind of like wakes Casey up from being in a cult per se. Because like when like he decides to do karate clearly for self-defense, but he says for health and fitness, like we see like a different side to him. Like immediately, like when he gets the yellow belt, like he kind of starts to feel more like confident, and like he's like becoming more and more interested in karate, and also too like it delves into like this whole thing of like masculinity versus femininity, because essentially like the sensei tells him that like his name is like feminine, and also too like with the type of music he listens to, because Casey he likes adult contemporary, but sensei's like nope, you need to listen to metal music. So clearly like sensei kind of pushes him to be more like assertive, which works to an extent, but yeah. And so yeah, like clearly like with the karate, I just wondered though like was it made like with good intentions? Because we see like with sensei, like he respects grandmaster, who he has like the picture up on the wall in the dojo, but then we learned that like he's extorting people, like blackmail. That's why like I wonder like is it supposed to be like a front, or is he just doing this because the business is struggling? Which that part I'll get into like in the lowlights section, but yeah, it's kind of questionable with his motives, but yeah. And what I too liked, so I just mentioned, yeah, that I found the karate was kind of acting as a cult. So with the whole, yeah, masculinity and the femininity, also to like with the music, and he wants like Sensei wants Casey to, you know, embrace Germany, like with the German Shepherd he gets, and also to him learning German, and the night classes. Yeah, because the night classes are very like brutal. Because like there's a moment in the film when like Henry, who's the blue belt, like he is really keen on getting the black stripes, so he kind of sneaks into the night class, which he was invited, but Casey was invited, and and Sensei breaks his arm during a demonstration, which I'm like, whoa, that is brutal. And essentially, like Henry, he gets kicked out, which is kind of like it's sad, it's frustrating, especially like when it came to towards the end when Sensei finds Henry's body, he's hanging from the ceiling. So clearly, like Sensei doesn't care about him because he burns his body through the um the serum. Hang on, just wrote it here. Through the the crematorium. Yeah, yeah, crematorium. So yeah, and also too like when they essentially have to beat up unarmed people, like that's also example of the cult's behavior. And essentially like Casey, like in a way he's kind of like a robot because essentially like, oh, shut up, like we're going to listen to music together, or something like, oh, let's do push-ups, I love push-ups, push-ups are fun, something like that. So so like in a way though, like he kind of like loses agency because he's essentially like doing what the sensei tells him to, until like he finds his dog dead. But yeah. And so with the karate, clearly rules are important. So we see like on the dojo hanging, there's the board that has like the 11 rules, which includes guns are for the weak people. So I would say, like, yeah, like when I was doing karate, like there wasn't like a set of rules that was hanging on the dojo that I went to, but they do clearly like establish like what they expect from the students. So essentially, like, show up on time, always wear your uniform and your belt, and like be ready to go, like so forth. So it doesn't. So I guess like when I did karate, like it wasn't too strict, unlike in this movie. But yeah, like clearly though, like with the rules, like he wants people to have like discipline, because with karate, it's not just good like for physical health, but also like for mental health as well. And it was interesting though, like with those rules in mind, like Casey, he breaks them. So justifiably, because he, like, after when his dog dies, like he shows up at the dojo, he like eats food like on the mat, he wears his shoes, he doesn't bow, and pretty much the sensei confronts him and all that stuff. And then like later on, like Casey, he shoots Sensei, and pretty much sounds like, oh, you might say, oh, guns are for weak people, saying that I'm weak, but you're dead, so you're wrong. And I thought too, though, like that was like a nod to the film that he was watching earlier, when in that scene the detective shoots the serial killer. I'm assuming like because he was supposed to arrest the serial killer, but then the detective is like, nope, like I make the rules, or he's essentially saying like there are no rules. So there you have it. Also, yeah, I liked Anna. Like it was, I felt kind of sorry for Anna, because clearly like Anna, like I would say like out of the characters in this movie, she has the more like good intentions, because she wants to excel like in karate, because that's why like she's very keen on getting the black belt, but gets upset when it's passed on to Thomas because she's a girl, which is ridiculous, because clearly like it should be about talent and like who is like best suited for the position. But yeah, it was just like frustrating that pretty much Sensei tells Casey that, oh, Anna will never get black belt because she's a girl. Ridiculous. In terms of scenes, I liked, yeah, there was Casey's first lesson when he is doing like the drills with the other student. I forgot his name. So it was quite hilarious that like the other student, he when he kicks Casey, he's like flying across the room. And and pretty much like he tells Casey, oh, like you need your kick to be like a punch. Essentially the kick has to be, aggressive, I guess, to qualify it as a punch. To be honest, like that's ridiculous, because a kick is a kick and the punch is a punch, but hey. And yeah, like, and it's so funny that afterwards that he immediately signs up for classes, because clearly though, like with Casey, like he doesn't want to get into that situation when he gets beaten up. So that, and also too to feel included in the group too, because like I said at the beginning, like he was pretty much like the loner, like when you saw him like at the restaurant, and then him at work, and also at home, even though he has a dog, but still he's essentially alone, and in ways kind of like treated like garbage with other people. I would say like too, like with the karate though, like I think people start to like take him in, but like clearly though, like with Sensei, like takes advantage of him, because he even says at one point, oh, like you remind me of myself. So interesting. Also, to another scene, Casey, when he tries to fight Sensei in front of the kids. Because honestly, like, if I was like one of the parents, I'll be just like, what is going on here? And like, I would take my child out of there immediately. But I thought, yeah, that was cool. And also too, like the belt ceremony. So you see, yeah, that Casey, like he gets the yellow belt, which is great, which boosts his self esteem, and then gets him to, be invested in karate. But it was also kind of sad that Henry doesn't get the black stripe, because we didn't see too many moments with Henry, but we could tell, yeah, that like he's invested in karate, but I guess because in ways he, I don't know, doesn't fit in with the rest of the group, that's why like he's kicked out and doesn't get his stripe. Also too, I liked when Sensei, like, he's alone in the dojo before Casey arrives towards the end of the movie, because it was kind of like just great to see Sensei, like him just alone in his environment per se, because like he's invested in karate, but there's also the other side to him too, which is quite deceiving. But at least here, like, is he's kind of more peaceful. Let's say, like, even though like he essentially like cremates Henry in the back office, which I wondered like why is that there in his office, but and also who else did he cremate or had to cremate? Like with the people that they killed at night, did he take them to the back office to cremate them? But yeah, so anyways, yeah, like we see like with that scene with him alone, like it was just nice to see him, not be a piece of garbage, I would say. Um and yeah, every time like when I see him getting shot by Casey, it always takes me like by surprise because it's clearly unexpected. And then it goes on to to show that like yeah, pretty much Casey doesn't go by the rules. But again though, like with Sensei kind of hurted Casey like on a personal level, like especially when he discovered the videotapes of the attacks, including his. And I assume though, like with the videotapes, like probably he Sensei uses it as blackmail or as leverage to get them to say karate in order to pay and all that stuff. But yeah, like Casey, like he was justified to do all that stuff for obvious reasons. And but yeah, like I always get caught off guard every time I see that. Also, along to like with Thomas, the other student, that turned out he killed his dog because we see the bite marks on his wrist. Because I guess he deserved to, not just for that, but also to like for getting the black belt over Anna. Because I'm sure Thomas is talented as well, but clearly like Anna has been there longer, and honestly like she has more merit than Thomas. And I guess a final note I'll say, like I'll talk about like the technical aspects of the film. So yellow really is like an important color in this movie, because usually like with yellow like associates with joy, with happiness, that sort of deal. But like here, like with yellow, maybe like there is happiness, but to an extent, because like I said, this movie gets dark. Like I would say, like on the bright side with yellow, like we see like Casey with the belt, like he's very, like he's happy because he's more confident in him, like he's feeling himself. Um, and like also too, I would say the yellow lighting. Yeah, there's lots of yellow lighting, like a little like muddy yellow, like especially at the beginning. Like it's very like with the opening sequence is very like washed up, And also too, when Casey is walking at night to get food, like we see some yellow lighting, and even in the poster, yellow background. So yellow is very yellow yellow. So not mellow yellow, but lots of yellow. Um and also too, like there was lots of pans, because you would see either you'll pan either up and down or side to side, which kind of like reminded me of 70s or 80s like movies that will use the pans. Because I just wondered though, like if it's supposed to be like a nod to, like, like those movies or TV shows that uses that, or maybe too like to show, like, like the quirkiness, like for like the characters, or maybe like to show that, oh, like something is up, like to get into, I guess, like the mystery, like either of the dojo or of the characters, so forth. And like I thought, like with the montage of Casey doing the lessons, like it does lots of pannings, but like quick cuts with the pans. I thought, yeah, that was cool on a technical scale. And I thought, yeah, too, I loved, yeah, like the writing, the directing was solid in this movie. And for me, like as a person that did karate, like I enjoyed this as a martial arts movie, even though like it's more like as a dark comedy. Like I still enjoyed, like, for what it is. Like it wasn't too fancy, like with the moves. I would say it's basic for the most part, which is fine. Like you don't have to go too fancy smanchy with the moves, but yeah, like it's solid. Like I said, like the in terms of the moves, like it's realistic. I think, yeah, too, with the belts are realistic too, except for the rainbow one, because I'm like, yeah, I don't think there's a rainbow belt, but yeah, because usually like with the rankings, because it'll depend on which karate you do, or which type of martial arts you do, but usually starts with white, and then yellow, and then orange, green, blue, brown, black. So yeah, that's pretty much the highlights that I have. Let's go on to lowlights. So I have like a few questions. So I wonder though, like, is this karate a scam, like, or is it a front? And honestly, like, I'm not sure, because, like I said, I'm assuming like they had good intentions to start that dojo and all that stuff. But with this night classes and then all those shady stuff, like what's the deal with that? And also too, like beating up unarmed people. I'm just like, why? Like, essentially, is it to make them stay in the karate? Like, I just wondered, like, if that's the case, like, why don't they mention that the karate is struggling, that they need money or some sort? And then, because clearly though, like with Sensei, is a little messed up, even though he idolizes Grandmaster. So I just wonder though, like, was Grandmaster like a part of this scam, or did this happen after Grandmaster passed away? Something to think about. And I just wonder too, like, why with Anna, like, she keeps telling Casey, like, you need to leave, this is not for you. And then I just wonder though, like, if she's telling him that, why doesn't she herself leave? Because I bet though, like, if Casey hadn't shot Sensei, like, Sensei would still be running it and doing all this, like, crazy stuff. So yeah, like, cause she could have left as well too, but she didn't. Cause yeah, also too, like, I didn't get, like, if you wanted to blackmail the students, Like, why force them to beat up unarmed people? That doesn't make sense. Like, why not, like, have them, I don't know, like, look for bad guys or something like that. Like, actually use the karate, like, for good to, you know, to find people that, the police are not able to catch. Because they could have done that, but because honestly, like, having them beat up, like, I guess, innocent people, it kind of makes them other than innocent. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the Lowlights section. So we could go on to the trivia. So there wasn't too many like facts I could find with this movie. So like with the facts I could find, so the movie was filmed in Kentucky. It's great. The photograph of, I guess, Grandmaster apparently is a picture of apologies for the mispronunciation of Morihei Ishiba Osensei, the founder of the martial art of Aikido. So apparently it implies that the master trained as an Aikidoka. So Aikido loosely translated means the way of spiritual harmony. This is puzzling since Aikido is a grappling art more akin to judo than to the striking art karate. And another fact is, the dojo rules. Let's go over the rules. So, number 1, no shoes on the mat. Understandable. Number 2, no food or drinks on the mat. Understandable. Number 3, bow when stepping on and off the mat. Okay. Number 4, always bring your belt. Yes. Number 5, wash your gi. Absolutely, because hygiene is important. Number 6, respect your opponent. Yeah. Number 7, tap or hear it snap, or I guess, yeah. And number 8, tap or take a nap, which is a bit of the same, but oh well. Number 9, stay hydrated, of course. Hydration is key. Number 10, if it works, use it. Okay. And number 11, guns are for the weak. So I'm fine with rules 1 to 10, but with number 11, I didn't really get how that applies to the dojo, because you learn like to fight with all sorts of weapons except for guns, so it didn't have to be included for the set of rules, but I guess to show that, that you essentially don't want a fair fight with using a gun, but again, it could have been removed as a rule. You could have just, I don't know, said that like as a philosophy, pretty much to show that, if you use a gun, you're a coward, that so to speak. And lastly, the writer and director Riley Stearns, he trains and teaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is interesting, because I just wondered though if he consulted, if he like, I would say like if he, I'm assuming he applied his experience in jiu-jitsu with this movie. So I found that, that's, which is crucial, because I guess, like it shows, like I said, with the karate aspect of the film to be more realistic, but which is a great skill set to use, I guess, for a martial arts movie. So lastly, like I usually ask this question: should this movie be rediscovered? And I say absolutely yes, because I loved, the comedy aspect of the film, the dark comedy. Like I said, like the cast and crew did a great job with the film. And what else? Yeah, the karate I would say is good. And loved the technical aspects, like with the panning and the use of yellow. So that's pretty much it. So that concludes this episode of the podcast. So you could follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Nomfanelo. You could follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RDMoviesPod. You can use the hashtag RDMoviesPod. You could answer the featured question on Spotify. You could like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred platform. You could also leave a review. And also too, you could submit questions, comments, and suggestions by email, which is rediscoveredmovies@gmail.com. Or you could also leave a short voice message on anchor.fm/rdmoviespod. So I want to say, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. Until next time.